Hello folks, Carrie Boax here, the President of the Scottish Brass Band Association, and we thought that it would be best to take some time just to talk about where we're at just now in terms of our thoughts on returning to banding. The past year's experience of the roller coaster that has been music making in Scotland, and no better a person to talk to than Charlie Farren, who is the President of the Whitburn Band, a very esteemed teacher, conductor, and a good friend to all brass banders around the country. Hello Charlie, how are you today?
Hi, nice to see you, Carrie. No, doing grand, doing absolutely grand, same as everybody else, enjoying the weather that we've got a wee bit yet, and try to plan to get back to band.
Absolutely. And on that note, Charlie, I think we've been conversing back and forward via email and conversation. And I know that we've had lots of contact at Saba through Tom, John, myself, just asking all the questions about what can we do, when can we get back, how do we get back? And as much as it varies up and down the country, Charlie, I know that you've had over the past year lots of highs and lots of lows, a bit like myself and my own band and other bands around the country. And I don't know if you want to comment on some of the highs that you've had and the lows of the past year before we move on to where we go, in the next few weeks.
Sure. The first thing we did online last year after the Scottish, of course, we were all shut down. And it was April time when the band quickly started. We've got a group chat, like most bands have anyway. We've got a group chat. And it was really evident, especially when we were all at home and we couldn't go anywhere. They were looking for something to do and they wanted to be engaged. So just amongst the players themselves, they chatted about the possibility of trying to record something online. And that's where the Stars and Stripes evolved from. I mean, none of us knew what we were doing, really. And that's why you see Liam Orr sitting at the desk looking like Boris Johnson, I mean, every band has its characters and Liam's an absolute belter, eh? So it was good fun. What we found was it was good fun and it was a good way of keeping your lip in right away, because it was you're having to practice because you don't want to be funny about it. And so we went about our business. We quickly learned that we were fortunate that Ryan Bradley knew how to do all that because he's studying at uni. And not only that, he already had the programs that would be needed to put it all together. So that was Ryan's first go at actually doing video. He's more a sound guy. Okay. So he was teaching himself as well how to do the video stuff and everything. So it worked out absolutely great. We got a really positive response for it and that kind of thing, and that was all fine and well. Then traditionally we break in summer for our holidays anyway, so we're always off in July. We'd made it to July and everything had sort of opened up again and we could all move about a bit, and then everything got walloped again. So we were like, we have to keep this thing going. It was a positive experience, so we decided that we'd try and do regular online recordings that we could publish and keep the band's profile prominent via social media outlets. Around the same time then, Corey, when we'd just come back for summer, Corey announced that they were going to do the first online contest. And we saw that as a fantastic opportunity to do some good playing, do some decent pieces, try and push our levels up as far as how we look visually and that kind of thing, and learn as we go. We came second to Fountain City, and that was when I learned that, right, so visual is just as important as the audio. It doesn't matter how good you play, but their video stuff was a step in front of yours. And I was like, right, okay, so now we know. Then we did all the silly stuff to take us up to Christmas to keep us blonde. So we did the, All Night Long and the ABBA Goes Brass and all these kind of things, But just it was fun. But what we were doing is we were putting a new bit of music out every 4 weeks. Have a go at this, guys. We're going to record this. Get yourself dressed up for that. the main idea of the whole thing, I mean, that taking us to Christmas, we were organisation stuff like any band. It was keeping the band engaged and giving them a reason to take the instrument out of the case.
Absolutely.
You know, and that was the most important thing. Then actually we got the idea around about October time to do the online contest their own. So we were actually going to try and do it in March. But our first application to Creative Scotland at the Crossbar, and they were like, no. And then literally, so we didn't get the answer to that to the week of Christmas. And they're like, you need to resubmit your application. You can't do that because we're going to be shut at Christmas and New Year. And then that takes another 8 to 12 weeks to get your answer. I was like, you're joking. So, and then of course, aye, turn of the year, Corey, the Capital Online Contest. At the exact time we were wanting to do it, I was like, right, okay. But we fixed our application. Actually, to be fair to Creative Scotland, we got a designated person to help us with the application from there. And we went back to her with regards to the feedback we got. Well, what did we do wrong at the bits where you say no enough information? And they were like, well, you need this, you need that. We're like, well, we've got that. You never wrote it. Well, we wouldn't have cared that, you know. And so what we learned for the application actually was, no matter how irrelevant you think the information that you have is, put it all down.
Absolutely.
Put it all down, because that might be the nugget that makes the difference between the yes and the no.
Unedited. So, you know, it's the unedited version that you submit when you're applying to grant applications. That's something like that, you know, I've experienced on behalf of SABA. You need to tick the boxes, and a lot of it can be in your head, but unless you put it down there, then you won't tick that box for them.
No, that was it. That was it. Excuse me. So that worked out absolutely fine. We got the application reapplied for, and then we focused on doing the Corey contest. And we were, as soon as it was announced, we were like, we're doing it and we're going for it. So there's probably a group of 4 or 5 of us who we talk the music. And then there's another couple who talk, right, how are we going to set ourselves up, what we're going to tell the band to wear, everything, right? So there's a good group of us all involved in the process of putting it together. Then we get everything, and then it's actually all down to Ryan. But like Ryan then comes to, there's me, Graham, he speaks with the percussion section because they all have good ideas as well. And that's a section. Why would you not talk to them? And actually, a couple of them are really quite good techie-wise as well because of their jobs. So everybody's involved in the process. Just as a wee thing. So in the Laurel and Hardy that we did, where you had the scene in the background where the guys did the dance, and it was the old vintage street scene.
Yeah.
So of course, that's one of the Laurel and Hardy movies. There is actually that street scene where they do that.
Yeah.
Well, we couldn't get copyright permission to use the extract for the actual movie.
Okay. And
we could find a Western scene, but because copyright laws, if we wanted to use it, it was going to cost us hundreds of pounds, right? So in the end, what you saw on the screen was Paris from 1880, right? But by the way, I mean, the way the laws work with copyright in France and who recorded it, and then it's going to be like 70 years or 75 years since the person that recorded it died before it becomes free. And the guy only died in 2017. I was like, oh my God. But we got it. It was absolutely fine. And it worked a charm. And the rest is history, as they say. So we'd already been planning our own online stuff, helping to keep the guys engaged. And knew our committee and some of the other members are now pushing towards making the online contest at the end of June work. And it's going to be great. It's going to be really good. And we've already got fantastic uptake for the Scottish bands. So it's actually going to work out really, really well. And not only do the individual bands themselves justice and give them a platform to reach a wider audience, it's going to do the entire association well. And of course, we couldn't have done it without John's help as well with regards to his recommendations. So, no, it was great. Like,
you know, you hit the nail on the head there. It's about connection, you know, whether it is within your own band or whether it's with other bands, people or other personnel, the government, Creative Scotland Arts Body, whoever it may be. It's about finding someone who's got a skill, a talent, you connect with them. And that's what I know from a SABA point of view, that's what we've been trying to do, because we know fine well that Ryan has been an absolute diamond. You know, everyone's singing Ryan praises, and we've watched your band family grow, but we've watched Ryan grow over the past year as well, and across the border as well. They're raving about him crossing Wales. I've spoken to you. You know, they're really, and so we're creating lots of skills and talents that we didn't know was there. So that's the positives of this pandemic that we need to hold on to and use going forward.